I was nervously eating crisps throughout the match.
Yeah. The shout now. Well done, Bobby Johnson. Well done, Manchester United. Beckham. It's a Sheringham. And Solskjaer has won it. Bobby saved it. United again.
Hello, welcome to United Hour, your official redclay.net podcast for all things Manchester United. My name's Imran.
I'm Colin.
And I'm David.
Yep, we swapped one Scott for the other. Only one's allowed in it.
Also a huge Scott McTominay fan, and obviously ecstatic about the qualification for the Euros, which I don't think I've been on the podcast since then. So, yeah.
As long as you have been on the podcast?
I'm pretty sure it's been a while. It's been a while. Jamie's been flying the flag high and flying it pretty well too, and bringing home the McTominay love, which is good.
Don't lie, you've been on a drunken bender ever since. So we are coming to you literally minutes after the full-time whistle at Cravani Cottage, where United eked out a 2-1 win over a very resilient Fulham side. Pretty nervy game, really. Colin, what's your initial reaction after the final whistle?
Relief, and I'm buzzing, just absolutely buzzing. Hard to watch that second half, really. Certainly the last sort of 20 minutes or so. But I don't think you can be upset about anything really at all. There's quite a lot to pick out of that game, but the overriding emotion is just pleasure at still being top of the league, especially after Leicester and City picking up wins tonight.
And David, how was your heart doing at the end of that game, especially with the Bailly deflection non-goal?
Yeah, on like first watch, I had no as it happened, I did not realise it was that close until I saw the replay. And it's weird, even though you know the ball has gone for a corner, my heart was properly in my mouth when I seen that replay and it trickled by the post. I'm like, oh my god, that was close. But it's weird, like over the past few years, I've been used to us maybe feeling like we're definitely going to throw it away at the end. I didn't have that feeling of dread today for some reason. Like I felt like we would see it out. But my big, obviously I'm delighted for us, and like Com says, City and Leicester win and put a lot of pressure on us, and it seems like every week right now is a cup final. Every single game means something, and we just can't afford to drop points if we want to chase this title dream. But one of the takeaways from me is the turnaround in Fulham from their first couple of games of the season to where they're at now. Just They were pretty good today, stern opposition, and obviously Scott Parker's done a pretty good job there. But I thought to come away with a 2-1 win at Fulham and be really, really happy with it shows how far they've come, because I feel we play them away at the beginning of the season, we turn them over. They've came along a long way, so I think that's a really impressive result. They've had a couple of big results against some teams also at the top of the table recently too, so I think it's a massive, massive 3 points from what is now one of the tougher fixtures in the bottom half of the table.
So what you're saying is Scott Parker better than Lampard? You heard it here first.
I don't think it's even up for debate. If he's doing a better job in about 1/1,000,000th of the budget as well. So,
yeah, I mean, that Bailly at the end, for all I feel like that should go in. I am not entirely sure how it hasn't gone in. Like with how far inside he is.
My first thought was handball. I was waiting for all the hands to go up and for the VAR shout to just ruin another game of football for me.
Handball's always my first thought when it's Bailly, but genuinely, I even went on the replay, I just think this should end up in the back of the net. No clue how it didn't, but yeah, David said that Colm has mentioned that every game's like cup final. He said that before we started recording, so if you're wondering where he said that, it was beforehand.
I said something before the recording. Dave immediately steals my line.
We were basically just before the podcast came on, we were saying how now we are top of the league, and now we're seemingly like every game, especially with how tight the points are between us, Leicester, City, and Man City and Liverpool just behind them. Like every game feels so tight, and everything's riding on it. And I can't handle it at the end of these games. And I'm thinking, remember, was it Southampton towards the end of last season where we conceded in the last minute? It was from a corner. Southampton scored in the last minute at Old Trafford. It's
Vestergaard, wasn't it?
Oh, that's annoying. But then you kind of get over it because, you know what, we're not playing for that. We're kind of getting in the top four. We're in our alright position. It's fine. This, at the moment, I'm just dying at the end of every game. But
it's not sustainable. That's the problem. The only reason we are down so much, I think, as well, is probably because we have a slight inferiority about us, where we know if we do kind of drop away, we might not have the resilience of a City or a Liverpool to kind of swing it back around, so it kind of feels like we need now to stay top till the end of the year if there's going to be any kind of chance. Whereas you think as soon as we kind of start to look a little bit fragile or drop points, we'll kind of, it'll be that great period of performance over, as kind of Ole's management of United has been, kind of long swathes of brilliant form bookended by it falling off an absolute cliff. So there's just seems so much invested in these games now at the moment, even though we really have so long to go,
Well, we're on the end of the game, so we might as well just stay there briefly, because I think there's a thread on Red Cafe about seeing out games, and actually now we are making a habit of seeing out these games and not conceding later on, which is a good thing. And I mean, for me, something like today, where I feel like the opposition's, regardless of what game it is or who it is, in injury time, you're always going to have they're always going to push onto you. I don't think you can avoid that so much. So I think it's good that for I think between 80 and 90 minutes, they really didn't do much. It was only when they got to injury time where they start pushing on. I think that's unavoidable. I don't know if you'd agree with me on that, David.
Yeah, I agree that's unavoidable. It's sort of like, it seems like this thing built in mentally to pretty much any team that's 1-2-1 in the last 5-10 minutes of a game, particularly away from home. It's just like clockwork. The team just starts piling under pressure, and you kind of go into that defensive mode. But I wasn't expecting them to grab an equaliser. It just felt like we would see it out, and that's coming from that resolve that we have shown this season. I mean, I saw that we're now on the longest unbeaten run of any team in Europe's top 5 leagues. I think that speaks so highly of how far we have come since December. I mean, I know the beginning of the season, every team had their issues. We had ours with COVID and training and all that kind of thing. But since that busy Christmas period and up until now, that speaks for itself. Longest unbeaten run in Europe, top 5 leagues. That's nothing to sniff about. And I think when you have that type of form, that translates into fighting for the title and being in first position.
Yeah, I mean, it's good that you didn't think they were going to score. Every time the commentator mentioned Scott Parker's amazing record of never losing once it's gone ahead, I was like, well, thanks for tempting fate here, lads.
I just couldn't watch Ruben Loftus-Cheek absolutely bullying Fred around the pitch, up and down the pitch. I mean, credit Fred. I'm not saying I actually thought he was broadly good today. It wasn't one of his best games, but the effort and the energy was there throughout. But I mean, he was just being ragdolled essentially by Ruben Loftus-Cheek, who I thought was extremely good. Just always running after and nipping at his heels while he was just kind of gracefully cantering away from him or pushing him over the kind of off the side. But every time he got the ball, I thought, oh, Christ, he's just literally going to run the length of the pitch and smash one into the top bag.
Has he always been that quick, Loftus-Cheek? I never seem to recall him being that fast.
I did always think he was much in the Pogba way, and that when he gets going and starts to carry the ball, he really travels just because of the length of his stride, I think, more than anything else.
Yeah, he's one of these players that's quicker with the ball and without it. Kind of the way Kaká used to be. You don't notice it when he's chasing back, but as soon as he gets a hold of the ball, he's just so big and broad and long strides. It's just, I don't know if he is rapid quick or if it's just players trying to work out, how do I get goal side of him here, because he's such a unit to try and go around. But he, the second half, I think I was on a different commentary stream to you guys, but the second half you would think that Ruben Loftus-Cheek had put in a world-class 10 out of 10 Ballon d'Or winning performance, because every time he got the ball they were just bigging him up. So yeah, I mean, he did play well, and starts when you see performances like that, you start to wonder why he's not or more established at a bigger team. But obviously his end product ultimately was a bit lacking today, and they came up.
Well, for them, it really seemed like two players, a player each half. Really, in the second half, it was all Loftus-Cheek for them, but in the first, it was Lookman who was really causing us trouble, and he was the one who opened the scoring in the first 5 minutes. Our defence just kind of go to sleep, really. At half-time, Ferdinand was pointing at Bailly, being more aware, and there's also Wan-Bissaka just playing him on. It's not a great goal to concede, really just lazy, I thought, Colm. But then typical of us at the beginning of, it's back to the good old days of conceding first away from home.
Yeah, it does. I mean, I thought the first 5 minutes were absolutely dreadful, and then that goal went in, and I felt really confident after that about our chances to win the game, because that seems to be what we need.
It was like a comfort blanket.
I thought the conditions definitely played a part. You could tell in the first minute we weren't really ready for that kind of wind, and kept trying to lift the ball and playing ourselves into problems. It was all coming on to us in that first half. And we just didn't seem to be able to cope with it at all. I thought it became a very fractured and kind of bitty game that they were much more prepared for and much more willing to engage in. I thought we were just looked like it looked a wee bit like we thought we could just show up and win a little bit, a lot of players. And I mean, the back four, literally apart from Luke Shaw, are pretty much all culpable for that goal. I think, Rio went over it in commentary, but Maguire just keeps moving towards Shaw for no apparent reason. Well, he thinks there's maybe a ball coming down the channel, so I suppose he can be slightly let off the hook for that, but he goes too far across. Baye's the really one who's, I think, Baye and Wan-Bissaka kind of share culpability, I think, because Baye can see everything. He's the one who has the play in front of him, so he can see the movement of Lookman and he can see where the ball's coming from and he can see what Maguire's doing, so he should really, I think, either step up onto Lookman or fill in the space better and not try and just do the easy thing of playing offside when you don't know what's happening behind you. And of course what's happening behind you is Aaron Wan-Bissaka just chilling, as he's wont to do. So that's a well-established problem at this stage. He was absolutely dreadful in the first half, though I should say. Actually did all right in the second half. I thought he was pretty good in the second half.
In the second half.
I kind of had to begrudgingly remind myself of that about 20 minutes in because I was still so fuming about how bad he was in the first half. But yeah, it was just a shocking start, really. But away from home, that's kind of like that's our play.
That's our bread and butter, isn't it?
Exactly.
And as just quickly as our resident goalkeeper critic, De Gea, yes, no,
for the goal.
Yep.
I didn't. I think it would be very harsh to say he could do better. It's kind of close to his foot, but it's struck really well. It's slightly raised off the ground. I mean, Lookman has about 20 minutes to kind of look around, check he's onside, and then hammered past him. Maybe he should come off his line, but I didn't really put any of it down to him, and he made good saves throughout the rest of the game. I actually think he's been okay lately.
So when Colm's saying that about here, what he actually means is there's no way you could save it. Like that's what a normal person means. David, so that was our defence at the start. David, how do you think they? I mean, especially like Bailly came in for Lindelof today. How do you think him and Maguire did for the rest of the game? Fulham did had a couple of half chances. We were looking rock solid, but were you happy to see Bailly come back in?
Yeah, I'm happy to see him come back in, and I mean it's hard to, like you say, most of the defenders are culpable for that Fulham goal. I always assumed that the centre half closest to the striker was the one that was supposed to pick him up, and it looked to me like Bailly kind of was expecting Pogba to be the one tracking that run, but to me that's Bailly's mistake, maybe 75% and 25% the rest of them. But he did. He came into the game, and I think that's a positional error, which I can forgive a bit more than I can forgive like stupid erratic decisions, which he's been known for in the past. And he does seem to have cut a fair amount of that out of his game. So I thought he was steady the rest of it. I thought Maguire was fairly steady for the rest of it. I'm just trying to wrap my head around when we were getting Maguire. It seemed to me like a lot of the conversation was that he was going to be extremely dominant in the air, winning every header in the box for our corners and just whacking them into the top corner with his big massive head. But for some reason, he just, when he goes up for a header completely unmarked, doesn't seem to have a way to get any real power behind it. It's weird. I mean, and then the one that he does finally do it last week, he gets it chopped off for what was a perfectly reasonable goal. It's really strange.
I'm still upset about that one last week, but it's amazing the propensity he has for making the right run, finding the space. We do seem to hit every cross towards him, and his head does seem to be acting like something of a magnet for the ball. And yet, for someone who spends literally 90% of his time heading footballs, it's so aimless. Like, I don't know whether he's just trying too hard, but even that one, like he's going for a glancing header when he just needs to put the head through it, kind of thing. At the very least, get it on target.
The thing he can do it, like some of the clearances that was just like goal kick knocked out, and he's just first to it. He knocks the ball fairly far. Like the guy clearly has some pretty good neck muscles there. So I've no idea why he's refusing to use them when he's winning balls to corners and the opposition end. It's strange.
I just think he thinks his job ends when his head meets the ball, and then magic will just do the rest. Like he doesn't have to aim it or anything. It'll just hit his head and magically end up in the net. Like he does better when he's like really having to challenge or is under pressure kind of thing, because then he has to think less about the direction, and actually it more a case then is just get your head on the bloody thing and see what happens. But that's kind of how he treats all. I mean, it's different when you're heading a ball out of your own box because it doesn't really matter where it goes.
Only vaguely.
Well, yeah, but from our corners, yeah, you just kind of, to me, that's what it seems like to me. Just like, I'll just put my head in this, see what happens. Anything could happen, and usually anything is not scoring. But that big chance Maguire came after our first goal. Now, it wasn't, as Colm said, not a great start by us, and I guess we started playing a little better, but to be honest with you, I didn't think it was a great performance overall, really. I don't think anyone had a particularly good game, but we played in fits and starts, and a couple of our players played in like short bursts, and then one of those players was Bruno, who decided to have a minute of being just godlike Bruno, who can hit the post and decide, nope, that's not the right outcome for this scenario. Get down the wing, puts the cross in, and then I don't know what Ariel was doing. Drops it at Cavani's feet, and it's 1-1. Cavani showing real instincts. David, Cavani and the goal. Do you feel that's a proper poached goal? Would Martial and Rashford do that sort of thing?
I can't recall too many times that they have scored a goal like that. It is a proper poacher's goal. I think that I would be inclined to give the assist to Fred on that goal, though. I think his harrying of the ball, it was just like textbook Fred, goes and wins the ball back, puts pressure on, plays a little 1-2 with Bruno around the corner. Like, he was just as integral to that goal as Bruno was. But yeah, like, that's what Cavani's there for. I just love the guy. I know you were saying there you didn't think anyone had a standout game. I'd disagree. I thought Cavani was fantastic for pretty much all of that game. His movement, obviously it's difficult to see it on TV, but when I think about going back to the games, whenever I can get back home and whenever the fans are allowed back in, the player I'm most excited to see is Cavani, just because I want to see that movement up close and personal, and I feel like he would be such a fan favourite, and it's such a shame that we're not getting to see, we don't have anyone that's getting to appreciate just how good he is off the ball and that different dynamic that he brings to the team. I think he should be our starter number 9 for every game going forward. He seems like he's physically in shape. He's still chasing after the ball in the 92nd minute, but he's brought a whole different approach than what Martial and Rashford are capable of. Might be doing a bit of disservice to Greenwood, who I think definitely has that ability in him to be that poacher and get those goals, but for whatever reason we're not going to be playing him as our number 9, it seems, and we're kind of sticking with the experiment outright, which is a whole different conversation in itself as far as he goes.
And Colm, do you think that Cavani's doing enough now to be our starting number 9?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we had discussions about it, I think, probably over a month ago, that it was really an interesting question for Ole now, whether he persists with Martial in a poor vein of form. Obviously, given the fact that he'd really given him the number 9 kind of role all last year. Or would he make the switch to Cavani, which seemed like, he was just better? And that's kind of what we're seeing now, I think. And credit to Ole is making those decisions. It slightly seems to the detriment of Martial, who, again, as I'm sure we'll touch on later, just wasn't great. But that's the nature of a competitive side, and a side that wants the challenge. You have to create those kind of situations, and it has to be a meritocracy, really. And at the moment, I think Cavani is just going to go from strength to strength. I think the personality of him is fantastic. The fitness is fantastic. I thought his celebration and his kind of display of passion afterwards was fantastic as well. I think he's a leader within that team already, and I think he would be a really good influence around the team, particularly in situations like this where we're making every single game seem like a cup final. He is an experienced, cool head that's going to make goals out of nowhere more often than not. And I just think with our players currently, we just need a number 9 to be a number 9. Martial gives you loads of good things, but in the number 9 role, we need someone who can press, someone who can hold the ball, and someone who can finish. We don't need creators necessarily all around the pitch, and we have plenty of that, it seems, at the moment. So he'd be my guy. Now, obviously, it's still a long season. There'll be rotation, and I don't think he should play all the time with his age. But in any game of any consequence, he would be my number 9. Yeah.
And I mean, he's good for like our changing the way we play. Like we were talking last pod about these big games, and he's not one you would use for our quote unquote usual big game setup of catching teams on the break, quick people up front. But we were saying we kind of have to move away from that now, really, because big teams have worked us out. They don't really let us do that counter-attacking thing.
Yeah. So, and then you don't get that space in the other 60% of games because you're playing a completely different kind of opponent. And I think it's really against the more fodderish teams where you'll see the worth. And also I think you're starting to see a lot more quality delivery into the box. I mean, I recall the kind of one laid back to Pogba and that kind of De Bruyne inside right role where you just the fullback lays it back and you just
Yeah.
swing it straight in. Bruno tries that frequently. Luke Shaw started to just put in these kind of crosses from quite deep pretty well. Wan-Bissaka got to the byline a few times and floated in crosses. And Martial was on the end of them sometimes too, but a lot of times we just didn't cross, or when we did cross, it just was totally vacant because there was no one there. And a good cross is only a good cross if someone's making a good run. It's a kind of an equals portion thing. You can throw in loads of beautifully looking balls, but if no one's making a run to arrive on the end of them, they're not good crosses. And for a long time I don't think we ever had that, and I think Cavani not only does that endlessly himself, but I actually think he encourages other people to do, because they see the worth in what he's doing. And I think crosses into the box, as much as we don't want to go back to the Moyes Fulham approach, there certainly wasn't enough of it for a while, and we were kind of doing a lot of this sideways, backwards, just batting it around outside the 18-yard box, whereas now I think we're a bit more direct with balls going in there, and that's because you have a player like Cavani in there.
Yeah, and it's a really good tactic, that, because like if you're like the one that Pogba whipped in, that Bruno was offside from, like when you're whipping a ball in at that pace, even if a defender gets a clearance on it, he's probably not going to launch it to safety.
No.
And we have a fair amount of players who are pretty decent around the box. I know Fred is still yet to reveal that side of himself, but he's always in that area. One time he's going to absolutely lash a volley in the top corner, you just know it. But
he had those 2 goals in that one game. I think it might have been
Champions League game, wasn't it, or something?
I thought it was Europa, but yeah.
Europa League, that's it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I like what I like about Cavani is every time the ball doesn't come into the box, he looks like he's been personally offended by something.
Yeah.
Like he wants to go shoot someone just because they haven't crossed the ball to him. But yeah, he's always on the move. And I guess the one issue is, I suppose, is how often can we play him? I mean, his fitness doesn't, like today, he was still putting the hard yards in 80, 85 minutes in.
Guy's
He didn't
a
come
machine.
off. Did he come? He didn't come off at the end, did he?
No, he was on for the full game. He's a
Yeah, he was on for the
machine,
full game.
and this is the thing with footballers' age. Obviously, we have Ronaldo and Ibrahimovic. They're a couple of physical specimens. They're complete freaks what they're doing and the level they're playing at. But I think that we still have those old stigmas around what age people were ready to retire at. And I think, like you see Cavani, he's got a couple of years left in him yet. It's just it seems like as soon as you turn 30, there's this attitude that you're kind of on the way down, you're going to be a bit part player. The guy is in really good physical condition. He clearly is up for the fight and up for being an example and leading the line properly. Like the guy has every single attribute that you need to be a top-class number 9 at this club, and he has the experience and the goals elsewhere to back it up. I think the more that we trust him in that role, the more the whole team is going to benefit from it, because it's a different approach, different option in the box. And yeah, he's fantastic. Like there was in the second half, and I know we're kind of jumping a little bit ahead, but there was I think it was the future Ballon d'Or winner Ruben Loftus-Cheek was about to go on a breakaway, and Cavani had ran back from the box. He was in the box trying to win a header, had sprinted back and just got the slightest touch on it with his foot, and it just knocked it kind of into the path of Maguire and broke up what could have been a dangerous play the way Loftus-Cheek was playing. Like he's an example to the team, and I think some of the personalities that we have now that are just like gung-ho, if they do something wrong, they'll go and chase the ball and try and make up for it. That kind of mentality is just something we haven't had in a long time, and it's so refreshing to see.
Yeah, and it's interesting because like Leicester, obviously their star striker is Vardy. He's 30? He's older than Cavani, I think, is Vardy. And City, I mean, they don't have a striker, but if they did, it would be Aguero, and he's also. So I mean, it's I don't think like David said, I don't think age is irrelevant. Just how fit he is, and he looks very fit to me. I guess that, I mean, we obviously, with the schedule we have, he can't play every game, and I guess the main one of the main concerns at the moment is the form of the other strikers around him, and we saw 2 of them today, in Greenwood and Martial, who not at their best. Let's say I thought Greenwood tried to keep it simple at least, but I thought Martial was just dreadful. I thought it was one of his worst performances of the season. Really, just nothing seemed to really go for him. So there was a point in the second half where he passed it to absolutely no one, and then just looked like he wanted to blame anyone else but himself. I don't know what it is like with Martial. Colm, I mean, he used to be all right on the left, but now since
I don't think that the chopping and changing does him any favours, in fairness. But also, I think he's on the pitch for enough minutes to impose himself, and as you say, he has loads of experience playing off the left, so it shouldn't be that hard for him to step back into that. I mean, him and Shaw look like just complete
They look like
strangers.
two straight. Yeah, I was going to say, like I just met.
I actually felt bad for Shaw because I thought he was broadly good, but was just... And I thought that for a long time when Martial did play off the left, that I would pity any left back that had to play behind him, because I don't even think he knows what he should be at or is going to do at any given point. You know, sometimes he wants to come to you and slow it down, and other times he'll kind of go and then stop. He makes half a run and then he comes back. I don't know. I mean, he's very much in one of these phases where everything he does seems to frustrate me, you know, unbelievably so. And I kind of have to, you know, relax myself and say, look, there were periods where he was really, really, really good last year. And there's so much about him that is so good. You know, his touch, his close control, his dribbling, his finishing at times, although that's deserted on this year. But broadly, there's so many good parts to his game. But again, it shouldn't be as hard as he always makes it look. And all the things that he doesn't seem to do well don't come down to talent or, you know, just not getting it right. It's just a basic application thing. You know, I just still don't see a massive effort. I still do see a kind of a sloppiness and wanting it his way. Everything has to be done the way he wants it, kind of thing, or in his, you know, his idea of what he wants to do with the ball. So he has one or two things that he likes doing, and he never wants to make himself uncomfortable and do other things or stretch defenses in other ways. And it just becomes very, you know, it just seems like he's a passenger in most of these games now. And of course he has the odd bit of quality every single game. He'd beat a few men and make them look silly, but it's nowhere near consistent enough, and there's never really any end product to it. Few good headers that he came in on, which I was pleased just to see the movement, but, you know, never really came to anything. Big concern. I mean, I think he's a player we'll move past quite soon, honestly, because I just think, I mean, we talk about, you know, him and Rashford and how they're still young. He is now kind of exiting that, really, and he has a lot of game time for us now, and it just doesn't seem like we're ever going to reach that level of consistency that you need. And that's not to say he won't be a very good squad player, but I do think he'll be the one to miss out fairly soon.
Yeah, I think as well, like with I'm just comparing him with Greenwood because obviously he was playing on the other side, but with Greenwood, I think even though he's not in a great moment either, he seems to try and keep it a lot more simple at the moment, which is fine. I think if you're out of form, keep it simple.
Yeah, and I don't even know that it's about form with Greenwood. You know, I don't think he's getting the chances that he had last year. I think there's definitely more knowledge of him in the league, you know, versus how he finished the year last year. Greenwood, I'm just happy to see him get minutes. I thought he was okay today, but yeah, I thought the right wing thing is a bit of a slight disservice to him. I'd really like to see him start getting proper minutes at number 9 if and when we can. I know it's very difficult the way our season's panning out at the moment, but I still think it's worthwhile to make time for that because he is a number 9. I mean, even when he gets the ball in the box, you still think that something's going to happen every single time, but it seems like he can only engineer that once per game. And we don't certainly seem to try and help him do that. Then there's the whole playing in front of Aaron Wan-Bissaka problem, which is 100% a problem. I mean, there was that one he was running in behind and Aaron Wan-Bissaka just had to feed it down the channel and he just, you know, hit it about 4 times as hard as he needed to and it went out for a goal kick. And like, what's he meant to do? You know, what is he meant to do? He picked up the ball very deep a lot today just because of the way Fulham were sitting. You know, he's not a winger. He can do lots of wingery things, but he's not a winger and he hasn't really played as a winger ever in his career properly. So I just think that's a tough ask, but I'm happy enough to always see him get minutes, and I think he's far, far, far away from the Martial kind of category, you know.
You see, it's weird for me because I think with Greenwood, I think he is a winger when he's on form, because when he's on form or when he's feeling confident, he uses his right foot a lot more. When he's now in this moment he's in currently, like you could tell he's shying away from using his right foot and he's always cutting back onto his left, which is obviously his stronger side. But we all know he's got a dynamite right foot, but he's just probably keeping it simple, not backing himself. But when he is in form and he can use his right foot, then he becomes, I think, a really good right winger. But he just isn't that at the moment.
If we're going to keep playing him there, I'd like to see him actually run at defenders because he doesn't do that, and that's what makes me kind of. Well, that's what I mean when I say he's not a right winger, and that a right winger of the ilk that I suppose I'm talking about wants to hug the touchline, and when they receive the ball, they want to run out that fullback.
But how many right wingers want to hug the touchline anymore?
Very few, but even if you want to come in and cut in and have a shot, Greenwood's instinct isn't to run at anyone. It's to play a ball and make a run, and make runs off the right in behind, which are all kind of striker's instincts and number 9 instincts, and involve himself in play a wee bit as well. So he just wants those little 1-2s and kind of touches. But he has the ability. I mean, you see in the box, his feet are brilliant. He does have the ability to dribble a man, and occasionally he beats 2 or 3 and whips in great balls, but you just wanted him to do it kind of more. But again, you know, young player playing pretty much out of position, you know, I'm not concerned about him in the slightest. I just want to make sure he gets minutes in the right place. Well,
we know he's comfortable with the ball, so we'll just have to see how it goes. And speaking about being comfortable with your balls, so that was my segue. Pretty good, right?
Yeah, pretty good. Yeah.
That's right, today's show is sponsored by Manscaped, who are the best in men's below-the-waist grooming. Manscaped offer precision-engineered tools for your family jewels and are trusted by over 2 million men worldwide. Join the movement for all your below-the-waist grooming needs. Now, I've just received my Manscaped package in the post and I've not been able to use it yet, so I'll give you some hands-on feedback on the next pod, hopefully, or the next time I'm on. But Jamie was on the other day and he said it was a really, really great bit of kit. The razor is excellent, does exactly what you need it to do, and it's been engineered precisely to give it the best shave possible. And that's not all. If you want 20% off and free shipping, just go to manscaped.com and use the promotional code UnitedHour. That's UnitedHour and you get 20% off and free shipping off your order. That's a really good deal and it's a great way to support this show. Support United Hour by going to manscaped.com and making a purchase today. Manscaped, make your testes the besties. All right, and so we move on to the second half. I thought Fulham came out, again, the stronger of the two sides, really. Nothing really from us, particularly. A couple of nice bits, and then there was that Pogba crossing for Bruno, who was offside that we mentioned. But then, really, it was Pogba who just took the game by the scruff and thought, "I'm gonna score here," like he didn't do against Liverpool. He said in his interview after the game how he felt really bad for not scoring against Liverpool, so he hopes like this kind of made up for it, and it's important that he got the goal today. But sorry,
love that. I love that comment.
Yeah, and he also said on a title challenge, very long way, a lot to do again. We are there, but we are not there. So nice and vague. David, how do you think Pogba did? And tell me something amazing about his goal. Fantastic goal it was.
Overall, I thought he played pretty well. He's definitely, he seems to be, since his resurgence, since his agent came out with all that nonsense, seems he's turned a corner performance-wise. He's obviously taken it up another notch. He's also cutting out a lot of those mistakes. Because I feel like there was a thing with Pogba that whenever he was playing, the opposition just knew that if they put pressure on him, that he would eventually give the ball away, because he would always play facing his own goal. He'd always try to do a little turn, but he's mixing it up a little bit more now. He did that a few times in this game, where sometimes it was just he knocked it off to Wan-Bissaka or whoever was closest to him. Sometimes he would turn and face the other way. Like he's just mixing it up more now. Seems to be comfortable taking a bit less time on the ball. But as far as his goal goes, it's hard to put into context how difficult that is to do on your weak foot that far out from goal. Like the bend on it is absolutely gorgeous. Like it might be my favourite goal of the season, other than I forget that overhead kick the West Ham player scored. Like just aesthetically pleasing wise, Haller's goal, who I found out the other day is no longer at West Ham. I had no idea about that.
He's gone to
Germany,
Ajax?
He went to Ajax. Weird, but that goal, aesthetically wise, was just pretty much perfect. Pogba's runs at a very close second. Some of the angles in that goal where you just see it almost start outside the post and just come in, absolutely.
Not just that though, but the touch, like big loopy ball coming down out of the air, soft as a feather touch, then skins like two players, and then he does that with his left foot.
It was what I almost call it like an expectation of Pogba goal. Like that's what we know he can do. I know at Juventus I think there's a bit of a misconception that he was pinging volleys into the top corner every other week. He wasn't quite like that, but he did score a lot of worldies during his time there, and we haven't seen as much of it as what I thought we would. Even from an attempts at goal standpoint, I don't see him come too close that often from distance like that, especially on his weak foot. But to see it kind of come together, knowing that he is capable of that, I mean, if you're going to win a game with a goal in a tight game like that, then it may as well be from the guy who had just missed a chance against your biggest rivals to take 3 points. And like I said, I love that was his comment that he came out after it. Obviously, it was playing on his mind. He realises how pivotal a moment that could have been, and he's came out and for me, and I assume everyone else, made amends for it. But what a friggin' goal.
I liked in the post-match interview when the interviewer said, we heard you were apologising to your teammates for missing that chance, and Pogba was like, I wasn't apologising, I was just angry. As if to say, I don't have to say sorry to those fucking losers, it's not my problem. Better than football than all of them, and I'm leaving in the summer, so, don't worry about that. I was just angry because I want to win this league before I go,
It was a really remarkable goal from Pogba. Like, to shoot to strike that ball from there with your left foot is fantastic. With your weak foot, and I mean Antonio Valencia is somewhere sitting thinking you couldn't even do that with your left foot. Yeah. Such a thing shouldn't be possible. I mean, this has been. I mean, Colin, do you see this turnaround from Pogba? It's been quite a remarkable turnaround, really, from where we were. What 2-3 months ago? I think everyone agreed Pogba would hopefully leave in January as soon as possible. Probably maybe not even play again for any meaningful role for us again this season. Do you see this coming?
No, I don't think anyone. And I mean, if this carries on and we win the league, it's going to be Raiola's title at the end of the day. But the thing with it is, obviously last year he was out for basically the entire season. So that's kind of an odd one as well, that you kind of have to factor in that he just didn't really play any football. At the start of this year, he wasn't really up to it, but then there's that whole COVID thing, obviously, and then you have the comments, and that kind of flips the narrative and the mindset as well. And then suddenly every single giveaway and every single dawdle on the ball just seems like 100 times worse than it probably really was, because we're all in that negative mindset about it. When he plays like he has done the last 5 or 6 weeks, it's just you can't really do anything but marvel and really hope that there's some way that he can stay at this club in that same mindset. Whether that's the case or not, I don't know, but it's goddamn enjoyable for the time being, and hopefully it goes on for as long as possible, because he really has been the star for the past few weeks, particularly when Bruno hasn't necessarily been contributing on the freakish level that he had been so far. And it's just so pleasing to see. I mean, even the kind of the goals are amazing. I mean, the last 2 goals he scored are both so important and so much quality as well. But I just think his all-round play has just been
much better.
Beyond so reproach, almost, defensively responsible, not dallying on the ball and engaging in these kind of grappling matches and just inside our own half and then losing it. So little of that, so sharp, and just a lot more maturity in these kind of performances. Almost as if a little switch is flipped as when everything started to go wrong for him there this season. And he just thought, you know what, if this is the final hurrah, who even cares, basically. And it just seems like there's a bit of a weight off his shoulders, and he doesn't have to necessarily feel like he owes us anything or that he's carrying us or whatever else, but he just seems a much more comfortable player at the moment, and I think that's what really suits him, because I think he's like a lot of our players, quite a kind of an instinctive player, and I think an emotional player almost as well. And when it's going well, it's going well. When it's going bad, it's going bad. So hopefully that carries on for as long as possible, because he's been in exceptional form. Yeah,
I mean, I didn't think he had, especially the defensive side of his game. I didn't think he had it in him anymore, but he's really proved me wrong on that, to the point where now, I think beginning of the season, if you told me Pogba starting in a midfield too, I'd be like, not looking forward to that. But now you don't bat an eyelid at it, because he's not shirking that side of the game at all.
I think it also helps just that we're playing different football. Playing on the front foot, I think, suits us so much more, and suits Paul Pogba's game so much more when he has good players around him who are able to also retain possession and deal with it in tight spots. And I still think we have a ways to go there, but I do think that's a good indicator of why you're seeing better play from him. But it's because of the players around him, and that the style of football is just getting a little bit better as well. Yeah,
and I think, hindsight isn't what it is, but he obviously did have COVID. And I mean, it's impossible to know how you'll be affected by COVID once you have it. And obviously, he has said afterwards that he probably had a longer form of COVID than most people, and it affected him quite badly. But you don't really know it until you try, I guess. I had COVID a couple of months ago now, and then when I went back to, I thought I was over it and everything. When I went back to play football the first time, I was absolutely knackered, and I'd never have guessed that it would have happened like that. It just is. So I think he said it affected him. So that was another reason why his start of the season wasn't great. But
well, the next time you play him, Ran, just take a good first touch, put it on your left foot, and ping it into the side.
I don't think I could. I genuinely don't think I could kick the ball that far with my left foot. Never mind score. So there is that. So that was 2-1. And then from there, we really didn't. I was hoping we'd kind of go on and push for that third, but there wasn't really a conceited effort to push. We did have that Cavani header from a fantastic Bruno cross. I thought probably Cavani should have scored, really. He's so good with his head. That's when you'd expect him to bury. But after that, we controlled the game without really pushing for that win. And Ole didn't make any changes, which I thought was interesting. You think Matic would have come on a lot earlier than he did. David, does Ole hate subs? Is it a vendetta because he is getting back for the fact that he was always a sub?
It's an interesting point. All I can say is that it seems weird, but it's weird in the context of what we're used to and what I guess is the status quo for teams to make subs. Usually you see if things aren't going well after half time, you usually see a sub in the first maybe 10 minutes. Most teams will make a sub kind of after the hour, and then depending on the way the game's going, there's all sorts of tactical changes and that type of thing. But always status quo seems to be to, if it's tight, it's like he's like, no, I don't want to change anything because I don't want to disrupt the flow here. Like, we're winning, we can keep it tight. And if I try any type of move here, it's just going to disrupt that. And to me, that it's not pessimistic, because I mean the guy's a highly qualified coach with a highly qualified team around him. They know what they're doing, and they know what they expect of their players, and they know what they can expect to change when they put someone into a game. I personally don't like it because I trust the players on the bench. There's a lot of quality there, particularly for that game today. I think adding the height of Matic is a bonus. I think adding the retention skills of Van de Beek is a bonus. I think putting Rashford on a little bit earlier, just when Fulham are kind of coming back into it after when Loftus-Cheek went into Superman mode. I just thought get Rashford a bit more pace and maybe go a bit more direct, and just putting him on the back foot a little bit. Like, there seemed like there was so many logical substitutions in terms of game management, and for whatever reason we didn't make a sub until the 82nd or 83rd minute. It's just weird, and the most logical thing is that he doesn't want to disrupt, he doesn't want to change it, and he trusts that the guys that are out there, he's selected them, it's his first 11, and he expects them to be able to see out the game, bring home the result. And I don't know, but it is weird, especially when you've got that amount of talent on the bench. And I just wonder, like, if you come back to Van de Beek again, like, what is he thinking at this point? Like, when is he going to get his chance?
Well, I can see him maybe starting against Liverpool on Sunday, but we'll get to that, a preview of that game shortly. Just to wrap up this game, so 2-1 win puts us back top of the league, ahead of Man City, who beat Aston Villa 2-0 today, and Leicester, who beat Chelsea the other day. Colm, is it City's league to lose? I mean, a lot of people are saying City are the favourites, and technically if they win their game in hand, they go above us. Yeah. They are looking quite imperious. I mean, when was the last time they even conceded a goal? I'm not entirely sure. They seem to keep clean sheets since forever, but yeah, I mean, how do you see the title race playing out in the next few weeks? Like this?
Yeah, a little bit like this. First of all, class to see Liverpool in fourth. That's fun. I do think City are looking quite ominous. I think is the word kind of being thrown around a lot. They really seem to have landed on something with Stones and Diaz and Cancelo even, playing extremely well. So defence always seems to be their issue, and that seems largely sorted now. They still don't really have a number 9, haven't played with number 9. Even Jesus is injured, although he came on for De Bruyne today. But yeah, they'd be the ones I'd be watching. Liverpool, of course, can come back into it. I still think there'll be a lot of ups and downs. I don't think this will be a consistent thing now for the rest of the year. I just don't see anyone maintaining that kind of form that we've maybe seen in previous years and the 90 points totals and stuff like that. I think there's still fragilities in every single team. I mean, Villa are no easy team to face, as we know well from the recent game, but like City were good value today, like they really, really were. So, but our run of fixtures here isn't awful. So, and when you look at that team today, like when I was watching that game, whilst I think we played within ourselves and we were quite nervy, I never really felt that we wouldn't score 2 goals. As soon as we went 1-0 down, I was like, we are going to score 2 goals against these, even the way they were sitting in, which normally, in years gone by would fill me with dread, because for so long it's the low block that we have just completely flummoxed against with our series of field managers. And those games where like you'd go 1-0 down, and in the 8th minute you'd be like, well, that's it. We're not, like, if they're going to sit in and be combative like they are, we're not going to have the kind of nous or the quality to get around that. Whereas now you just feel the opposite. You're like, I can't imagine 80 minutes passing by here without us creating 3, 4, 5 good chances. And with the players we have, we'll take a couple of them, bound to.
Yeah.
So it's just hard not to see that carrying on. I do think we have the quality to kind of maintain this. It's whether we have, I think, the gumption and the personality and the leadership to do it more than the actual quality.
And to be fair, we did well to do it, because I think this is the first time since, I think, like the first weekend of December where Fulham have conceded more than a goal in a game. And
also, I think first time under Scott Parker that they have they've scored first and lost the game.
Yes. Thanks for that one. But yeah, no, they played in that time. They played Liverpool and they played Spurs, and so I mean, it shows even if when we're not playing well and winning that game, that is a good attribute to have, of course. David, what are your expectations? Are you just enjoying the ride? Do you have real expectations for us now? Yeah, how do you see it?
I mean, obviously, I'm enjoying the ride. A lot of the gloss of this season is obviously like taken away just by the fans not being there. So it's, I don't know. At the beginning of the season, or towards the end of last season, I predicted that we would be there or thereabouts come the end of the season in terms of winning. It felt like there was a lot of good things coming together within that squad, and another season of maturity. I felt like they would start to grow a bit more, understand a bit more, and I think we've seen the fruits of that labour. One of the things that I'm encouraged by, obviously Pogba's upturn in form is incredible, but what that means is that if Bruno does have a bad game, it doesn't mean that the whole team has a bad game, and I thought we were dangerously slipping into that territory where we relied on him so much. Teams were setting up basically under the impression that if you stop Bruno, then you kind of are going to stop us. I feel there's a few players that have emerged, Pogba being one in recent weeks, Cavani being one, Rashford, not the past couple of games, but there was a spell there in December where he was just unplayable at times, where it's a case of, okay, you can stop one, but one of the other two are going to get you. Yeah. I don't think we've had that for a while, and because we do and that potential is there, I think it puts us in the hunt. We do have, like Colm said, a very favourable run of fixtures. The thing with Man City is the way that they're playing, it is ominous. They do have the capability of beating every single team that they come up against and dominating them as well. I have no idea where this came from with John Stones. I always thought that he was reasonably overrated. But for him and Diaz have just formed this unreal partnership. I think they have one of the best defensive records over a run of games that I think there might have ever been. Like it's kind of unheard of what they're doing defensively for a team that is usually can be gotten at. So our season depends a lot, in my opinion, on the level of Man City's blip, if and when it ever comes, because I don't expect us to slip up too often. I think we, like he's mentioned, we are better at dealing with that low block now, to the extent that we can go behind against a team that will sit in and expect 2 goals. So I do expect us to beat a lot of that kind of fodder opposition, whereas previously I wouldn't have been as confident. But I feel our season is going to be determined by when and if City slip up. I'd put my money on us being second at worst, based on how we're playing, based on how the season's going, based on some of the players who've gone out of form to come back into form. And obviously we've got the little wonder kid, Amad Diallo, going to come in and take that right wing slot, make it his own, and maybe bring home some silverware for us.
Well, this match did mark the halfway point of the season, and I think it's quite remarkable that we actually, apart from Palace, the aberration against Palace, which was the first game of the season, we've beaten every single team that isn't historical top 6 plus Leicester. So that's like that. There were the games you'd obviously, we're going away to, I don't know, we're going away to Brighton, we'll probably lose this or whatever, but that's not been the case this season. We've brushed all of them aside, and it's just now we need to take that step up, like we said last week, to those games against the big sides, and we need to get results against them. Hopefully it'll come in the second half of the season, but if we can keep brushing away these smaller sides, then anything could happen, I guess. This weekend we have Liverpool in the FA Cup. I think it'll be a lot different from last week's game. I can see this not being a cagey affair at all, just because it's a cup game, and I mean it's impossible to know what side they're going to play. And I wouldn't even want to guess what our lineup's going to look like. Could be anything really. I don't know if he's going to go for it. Don't know if he's going to rest everyone. Colm, do you have a sneaky feeling? I couldn't tell.
I don't have a feel at all. My inclination, if I was betting, I think he'll go pretty strong with a small bit of rotation, because Ole can be a bit of a taskmaster, really. We saw at the end of last year with just consistently playing the same team week after week when they were completely dead and buried. And I don't really see him deviating from that too much. We've also seen him almost completely freeze out Van der Beek. So he can be quite, I think, ruthless and slave drivers, really, to be honest. So I wouldn't be surprised to see him take it quite seriously. Lord knows what Liverpool team you're going to get. Having said that, I could go completely the opposite direction. I would look for a lot of rotation. I'm not really putting a lot of stock in this game. I'm fully committed to the league now. If we go out to Liverpool in the FA Cup, is it that big of a deal really?
No.
Much more focused on the next game after that, in the league. So it'll be an interesting spectacle. I hope it is a good game because I don't want to sit for another 0-0 nail biter. But I don't think there'll be that same, as you say, I don't think there'll be that same pressure on this fixture. And I think Liverpool will rotate. I don't think they'll put out their strongest team because they have their own issues with injuries and with a small squad anyway.
Yeah.
So I'll be surprised not to see quite a rotated Liverpool team. So,
and they've got Burnley tomorrow. You might have that game might have already happened by the time you've heard this. But yeah, they've got Burnley on Thursday, and then they've got Spurs on Thursday after our game away at whatever Spurs Stadium's called these days. Can't remember. Just blanked on me. So I can see them rotating a little bit at the very least, but who knows? Like you said, if we go out, it's a bit annoying because it's Liverpool, but it's not the end of the world. Really, it gives us just more ammunition to concentrate on the league. David, how do you see Sunday going? Do you fancy United win?
Well, first and foremost, Tottenham Stadium. Again, the name has escaped me, but I do know they have some of the best cheese in the world there. Which
they've got the cheese bit, haven't they?
Yeah, it was fantastic. Amazing training facilities as well, I hear. But no, as far as the game goes, I absolutely despise Liverpool and everything about them. Always have, always will. So I can't handle losing to them in the old Worthington Cup. Like it's an FA Cup game. And I think you touched on the fixtures there. So they've got Spurs. I think it's away. They play
away,
Spurs.
yeah.
It's at the famous Tottenham Hotspur Stadium.
Yeah, the famous Tottenham.
Hotspur Stadium.
That is what it's called. The name of the
yeah, the stadium previously known as White Hart Lane.
Yes.
But so obviously that's a big game for them. I'd imagine that they are more committed to the league than they are anything else in their season. So I would expect rotation from them and maybe to field a little bit of a weaker side. On the flip side of that, we have Sheffield United away. Again, previously, like last season, that'd be a fixture I'd be concerned about. Not so much now. So I wonder if Ole will see that as an opportunity, expect Liverpool to field a weakened team, and then maybe go for like a really, really strong lineup, maybe similar to tonight.
That could be a real egg on the face situation, though, when
exactly.
Liverpool reserves end up smashing your first team. And,
it could be, but I just wonder, and I'm keen to see Ole's mentality with that. I really, really want to see Van de Beek start a game, especially against like a team that press as well as Liverpool. And I know it might be a second string side, but their ethos is pretty consistent through it, that they just press like madmen. And I think he's set up to play really well against a side like that. So I want to see him start more than anything. I want Greenwood to get a chance to play as a number 9, which I think we might get to see. I know there were some rumours today that apparently Diallo is performing so well in training that he might get thrown in to the Wolves in the weekend, which would be amazing to see. But to me,
hope we're not playing Wolves. Oh.
I was right decided against it.
To me, it's an opportunity to get advance in the FA Cup and get one over on them. But that's more my hatred for that team, and I was just never wanting to concede anything to them.
Oh yeah.
I think play it smart and put all our eggs should be going in the league basket for me. So the result, I'm not overly concerned if we get beat, other than the fact it just ruins my day for a little bit. I think in the grand context of the season, it's not you can swallow it. But it's fascinating
I say I'm not bothered. I know if we lose, I'm going to be absolutely furious. But I can say this.
The manner of it, like it depends on the team and the manner of it as well. It
really does. Yeah.
I think it's a tough one to really guess on.
Yeah,
I'd play
small
Henderson
correction.
as well. Henderson, I know he's been playing in cup games, so I'd start him, give him a shot. It's going to be it's fascinating to know to not know what both managers are going to do. Like one could try and catch the other one out, expect a weakened team, and then they see the team sheets come in and they're like, "Oh fuck, we should maybe have lined up a little bit stronger."
Small correction: we're playing Sheffield United at home. Just before everyone asks you, David. I think one thing is our second string is like pretty strong, really. comparatively to like Liverpool's, where if their second string comes out, it'll just be a bunch of kids basically. So we do have that in our favour. But yeah, we'll see how it goes. And we'll probably have a podcast out after that. But if there's nothing more, we have a very, very quick time for this.
A wonderful game of football which Manchester United have won convincingly.
But it was a breathtaking match, absolutely brilliant.
Shocking. I'm disgusted with it.
Right, this isn't stupid at all, by the way, Colm, so you're all right.
Good.
All right. Yes, so they say in life that you've made it when you are in a position where you have to do none of the work but get all of the credit. And that's the position I'm in today, because this quiz has actually been sent in to me by a listener from the Red Cafe. It's been sent in by Marty, who I appreciate. Now I'm going to steal his work and take all the credit. So,
I don't appreciate you, Marty.
well, he's given us a game that's not actually that stupid. So I think he probably heard last week and thought, this is ridiculous. Probably agreed with
Imran needs help.
Probably thought, yeah, he really needs some help with this. So I'm going to ask you a question. Pretty straightforward. And that's going to get you into the door. And then you're going to get some points. And I'll explain once you get there. So Colm, do you want to go first or second? Since you're returning. Oh, and David, this is your first time in the Imran's game, I believe.
No, it's not.
Oh,
actually,
no, you were first. You were the guinea pig.
I participated in the inaugural Imran stupid game.
You
haven't
did.
been on the podcast since.
Yeah, that was enough to turn you off. Right, so sorry, Colm, what did you say? You want to go first or second?
Second, I was...
Right, okay, so David, you got to answer this question. You don't get a point for it, but afterwards you can score points if you get it right. Okay. Who got sent off? By the way, this quiz is all about Fulham and United. This is the basis of this. Yeah, you know what? I didn't put it together, so any complaints, don't come to me. Right. So, who got sent off at Craven Cottage in 2009, and what offence did he do?
Pass.
You don't remember? Fergie was not happy with it at the time.
Who is it that's been like? This is a United player.
Oh, United player. Which United player? Sorry, I should say. Which United player got sent off in Craven Cottage?
2008. I'll guess it. Rooney.
Yes. Do you remember what he did?
No, that was a pure guess.
I know. Yeah, did Scholes get sent off as well in this game?
I think Rooney, he might have done.
Rooney, it was some like descent thing he gave off after a free kick, or he threw the ball away or something like that.
He threw the ball. I think he threw the ball back to where the kick was meant to be taken, but he threw it so aggressively.
Scholes did get sent off. I think Scholes did get sent off. Didn't he get sent off in the first half?
Yeah, I think he got sent off in the first half for like throwing a punch or something, or probably a Scholes tackle. I don't know, but yeah, no, that's what Rooney got sent off for. But David, you can play, so you now have to you have to guess a number of how many goals Wayne Rooney scored against Fulham for Man United in the Premier League. Now, however many you are away from this, you will get minus points.
Oh.
So if you get it bang on, you'll get a point. If you get it however far away, you'll get lots of minus points. So, give me a number.
7.
David scored 10. So David scores -3. -3 points for David.
It's not bad.
It's not bad.
It's not bad at all. Right.
I kind of like this house. I'm glad I came in the door.
Colm.
Yeah.
Who scored all the goals for United in a 3-0 win over Fulham in March 2003?
God, 2003.
That would be a hat-trick against Fulham at Old Trafford.
Solskjaer.
Oh, it's not Solskjaer.
I know it.
Go on.
Van Nistelrooy.
It's Van Nistelrooy, and that gets you in the door score some points, but also get some minus points. That's how this game works. You shouldn't have answered the question.
I got the question right last time. How come your mano went in the door?
No, he got it right. He said Rooney.
Oh, I thought he had to get what it was for.
No, that was just a bit of a. That's what I like to call quiz banter, Colm. Quiz banter. So, how many goals did Ruud van Nistelrooy score against Fulham for Manchester United in the Premier League?
5.
Once again, you are -3. It's 8. So, despite getting 2 questions right, David is on -6. Colm is in the driver's seat.
I think I've figured out the key to victory.
Yeah. Me too.
Right. David, in the opening game of the 2001-2002 season, who scored a brace for Fulham at Old Trafford?
Which United?
Oh, well done. How do you know that?
That's good.
decent memory, but I remember that goal for Saha. Keeper was coming out and just kind of lobbed it over him.
Who was our keeper?
I want to say it was Bosnich.
Wow, tell you what. I genuinely, I thought I'd have to give some sort of clue for that, but fair enough. All right. So, how many goals
one of the reasons we signed him? Because he scored those 2 goals against us?
I don't know, but there's more negative points coming for David here, so let's ask the question.
Well, no, because if you get
you just enjoy your time outside, pal, okay? Just you look in through the window.
How many goals did Louis Saha score against Fulham?
I remember 1. I'm going to go for 1.
It's a good guess, but it's 3. Which is -2. So, David is on -11. Colm is on -1 because he got 1 question wrong.
Right.
Fantastic. Right, Colm, you're up.
Yeah.
In the opening game in that same game, so in the opening game of the 2001-2002 season, David Beckham scored for us. Was it A, a long ranger, B, a direct free kick, or C, a nice finish in the box?
C.
You've got that wrong on purpose. It was B.
It was what, sorry?
It was B, a direct free kick. And because you got it wrong on purpose, I'm going to make you play.
Sure, Beckham hardly scored any free kicks.
Yeah, he wasn't well known for them at all. Colm, how many goals did David Beckham score against Fulham?
Against Fulham.
In the Premier League?
4.
4. It's a good guess, but once again, 3 out. He scored 1 goal. That was the only goal he scored against Fulham in the league. So -3 for Colm. He's not on the leaderboard. He's in the inverse leaderboard, but still got a commendable lead over David, who is actually doing very well at this quiz. Question 5. Who scored? This is for David. Who scored the last of his 11 career FA Cup goals against Fulham in 2013. So he scored 11 career FA Cup goals and he scored his last one against Fulham in 2013.
Ryan Giggs.
Oh, David, I feel bad for making you lose this quiz because you're doing really well.
I was going to answer Giggs for that one as well, but that's shocking to me that he only scored 11 FA Cup goals.
I was trying to think this. Is that bad or is that good? It's probably bad,
That's what I was wondering. It's 1 a year, is it maybe? It's not bad when you think of it like that.
It's actually less than 1 a year.
Giggs' scoring record as time goes by will continuously be held against him. When there was that daft argument when Keane and Carragher were picking their best combined 11, and Carragher was like, I'm going to pick Mane. Do you know how many goals Giggs scored in the 99 season? His goal record is not going to stand the test of time, despite how awesome it was.
Well, he did score 1 very good FA Cup goal, so I think we can forgive him.
100%.
David, how many goals did Ryan Giggs score against Fulham in the Premier League?
6.
Oh, it's close. It was 4. It's -2.
Yay!
-13. David is on right now. Plays -4.
You should have got it should have been like 1 point if you were within 3, 2 points.
I should have done, but then the game isn't stupid. There has to be some stupidity to this, otherwise it doesn't work. The whole walls crumble down. Right, Colm, you're up.
Yeah.
What is Ole's United managerial record against Fulham after today?
2 wins.
Correct. Well done. 2 played 2, won 2.
Yeah. Come inside, pal. It's warm in here.
He's finally got a question right.
I'm just gearing up here on the last question.
Right. So, how many goals against Fulham did Ole Gunnar Solskjaer score?
I don't think that many. 4.
4. The answer is 15. David wins.
15?
No, it's not 15. It was 1.
Oh, love it.
So, the final scores. David has a very impressive -13, but the winner today, and you'll feel like a winner, it's Colm with -7. How do you feel,
I do feel like a winner. I do feel like a winner. It feels deserved. It feels deserved.
Congratulations, Colin. You earned it, bud.
Yeah.
And that was another edition of Imran's Stupid Game.
Cheers, Marty. Appreciate that. That's generally better than not all Imran's efforts, but certainly most of them.
Yeah, oh, yes. Well, actually, because that went quite well, that's going to be my game now. Forget Marty exists. That was my game. Give all the credit to me, thanks.
Oh, awesome.
Dreadful. Dumb and Dumber, I'd call them. I thought they were really poor. I thought they were a joke. Really abysmal.
Right, so that'll do it for this edition of United Hour. Before we go, I'd like to put all our plugs out as usual. Please follow us on Twitter, United_Hour. Please follow us on Instagram. David, how's our Instagram going?
It grew by about 50% in the last couple of weeks, so thank you for all the wonderful follows. It's all United accounts from around the world. It's actually really cool to see just like the reach of the club. I mean, we always knew we're pretty popular on a global stage, but I think we've got followers in pretty much every continent right now, so it's pretty good. And seeing kind of other people's take on some of the players and stuff, yeah, it's pretty good. So if you're not already following, then change that.
As the man said, it's his baby, so please follow us. Also, you can sign up to the Red Cafe and post in our threads on there. Really appreciate it. And the best thing you can do for us is leave a 5-star review on wherever you get your podcasts. And also remember to support us by using our sponsor, which is Manscaped. If you go to manscaped.com and use the code United Hour, you get 20% off. That's United Hour. Please use the code if you're going to use Manscaped. And that's it. We'll be back after the Liverpool game. Not sure who it'll be, but you'll have to find out. Until then, cheers, Colm.
Cheerio.
Take care, guys. Take care.